Hey there and welcome back to Tech Intrests, and in this video we'll discuss about that is just on your fingertips. Obviously I'm talking about fingerprints, but not actually about fingerprints but about fingerprint sensors. Different type of fingerprint sensors, how they are used and how they work. What's the concept behind the working of different type of fingerprint sensors. So without wasting much time, let's get started. Do you know that once upon a time a man was selling stolen watches and somebody caught him on a camera, and the picture quality was so clear that police could also read his fingerprints, and those fingerprints were lately used to caught him. So our first type of fingerprint sensors are optical fingerprint sensors. As it is clear from their name that they capture an optical image of a fingertip, in which they detect unique type of identities or unique patterns on our fingertips and friction ridges on our fingertips by light falling on it, according to the lightness and the darkness in the different regions. And as I mentioned before, or if I don't mention, that they capture a 2D image of our fingertips according to the light falling on it, as that's why they consist of LED flashlights and a large number of diodes as comparatively to the smartphone camera. And it is also obvious that higher the resolution is equal to the better work and a better detection. And this technology is fading away from the planet just because it is very easy to fool. As I mentioned, that they capture a 2D image of our fingertips, and that's why a similar image of someone's fingerprint can be used to fool the machine. So the next type of fingerprint sensor we are going to discuss are capacitive sensors. These are not like other sensors, these are not like optical sensors, as they don't create a 2D image of a fingerprint, but they use a tiny capacitive circuit to identify and read our fingerprints. So how they work, the basic concept of capacitive sensors are that many tiny capacitors are being connected to one conducting slab, which is at the top of the fingerprint sensor, and when someone places their fingertip on the conducting slab, the charge in the air gap between the friction ridge of the fingerprint remains unchanged, but in the remaining part which is touched to the conducting slab, the charge gets changed. So where the charge is changed and where is not, this data is collected by an OP-amp integrator, and further that is converted into digital signal by an analog to digital converter. This is much secure as comparatively to optical sensors. So suppose someone is trying to fool the capacitive sensor and he is using the same fingerprint but with a different material. So the charge at the conducting slab will be different, so the access will be denied. And that's why the capacitive sensors are much secure as comparatively to the optical sensor, and that's why these are nowadays used in mobile phones and many other places. So the concept of capacitive sensor is really good. I want to learn more about this. I want to talk more about on this topic. So, but we are running out of time. So it's all upon you that you want to learn more about this capacitive sensor or not. I have opened the poll on every social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So go vote for what you want. Do you want to learn more about this or not? Because if we do, we will get to know much more about technology, and we could also develop our own capacitive sensor. It all costs ultrasonic transmitter and ultrasonic receiver to create an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. A pulse is transmitted toward our fingertip, and some of the pulse is absorbed by our finger, but maximum every pulse return back to the sensor according to the friction ridges and the pores we have on a finger. There's a sensor waiting back for those pulses to return and to calculate how how much mechanical stress was used. And I also told you that these type of fingerprint sensor create a 3D image of a fingerprints, so it also calculate how deep your friction ridges was. So it is almost impossible to fool this type of fingerprint sensors, as these type of fingerprint sensors work under every substance. So I guess that's enough for this time. So we'll meet you in our next video talking about some cool technical stuff happening around us, in which we'll discover the concept behind that. And until then, subscribe us, go to our social media account, and also vote for that you really want to learn more about the capacitive sensors so that you can also develop your own or not.